Hey guys, welcome back to a new Pixel Peepers video. Today we have something special for you. I am very pleased to say that I found my new favorite daylight camera in the Nokia 9 smartphone. Let me explain you why. Because I wanted to analyze the raw photos of the Nokia 9 also, I chose to compare it to the Huawei P30 Pro camera, which has a very potent manual and raw output. First, let's check out the JPEGs versus RAW versus edited RAW between the two phones. You can easily notice the Nokia 9 delivers a much better exposed photo, with insane dynamic range. Huawei's photo is overexposed with clipped highlights. Also, color rendition is much more natural on the Nokia photo, and you will see this throughout the test. Actually, I can go as far as to say the Nokia 9 has the best and most natural colors I've seen in my life on a smartphone, period. Both JPEGs are very detailed and sharp, maybe too sharp for their own good. But let's check out how the raw photos look on the two phones. First, we notice that Huawei does a better job with colors than what it did in auto mode, and it is almost as good as the Nokia photo. There is also a difference in exposure between the raw files, Nokia having a slightly underexposed output compared to the overexposed one of the Huawei. But all this doesn't matter, as the entire point of raw files is to be edited. I tried to recover as much highlight and shadows as I could from both raw files to see how much information they can store. And no doubt Nokia is much better, with a much better highlight detail. Also, it has much sharper and more detailed photo. Huawei's output is actually a bit soft. Let's also check out the JPEGs and edited RAW photos side by side to see how much better it is to shoot RAW, especially with Nokia phone. A well-developed daylight RAW photo from Nokia 9 simply has no rival in its smartphone world right now. No Samsung, no Huawei, no iPhone can come close in terms of color accuracy, dynamic range and details. Let's see how good the two phones do with human subjects. I apologize for my wife's crazy face, but she simply cannot take a normal photo. And there is absolutely no contest here. The P30 Pro gets trashed. It overexposes large portions of my wife's hair, and colors are also way off. The Nokia photo is almost perfect, but it is a bit too oversharpened. Taking a look at what raw files look like, we can see Huawei doing a good job with colors, but yet again Nokia does a better job with a much flatter output, retaining more information in both highlights and shadows. Also, the details and textures are better retained in the Nokia photo. One of the advantages of the Nokia 9 camera system is that you can shoot raw portrait photos with depth information from all 6 cameras. The depth effect cannot be adjusted in post-processing like with JPEGs, but still, raw files with depth information is unique to the smartphone world. And again, no doubt that the best photo here is the edited RAW file from the Nokia, with a much more natural picture. It has the flattest profile, but with the widest dynamic range, a very natural gradual blur and the perfect edge definition and background separation. The Huawei photo is slightly oversharpened and the background blur is not natural at all, just like every other phone where it simply cuts the main subject and blurs the background. There is also one more aspect to keep in mind. Take a look at this high contrast scene. Here you have the untouched raw photos from both cameras, and as you can see, the photos are heavily underexposed, with crushed shadows. Of course you can edit these raw files to compensate the dark shadows, but is there any downside? Short answer, yes, but only for the Huawei photo. Zooming in, you can see that when I increase the exposure by 1 stop and the shadow exposure by 50% on both photos, noise began to be very much of an issue on the P30 Pro. Meanwhile, the Nokia 9 RAW file managed to retain much more dynamic range and shadow information. And when those shadows were brightened up, the photo remained clean of any noise. Nokia claims that it has an amazing 12 stops of dynamic range usable on its RAW photos, and I tend to believe them. It is much superior to what Huawei or Samsung managed to retain in their RAW files, usually an average of 3 to 5 stops of dynamic range. Let that sink in for a moment. And with that in mind, time to conclude this short test. I think I was explicit enough. Right now, Nokia 9 is unrivaled by any smartphone camera when it comes to RAW photography in daylight. Also, automatic photos are best in class, but they have only one downside: over-sharpening. But sometimes it's a trade-off I am willing to take for that depth mapping from 5 cameras and the time of flight lengths. Oh, and the photo processing is stupid slow, but not really a big concern for me. Let me know what you think about the Nokia 9 camera in the comments down below. This is Pixel Peepers signing out.